Hello, welcome to the channel. Hi friends, I'm Christopher and this is Challenger Tabletop, and I'm back for another painting stream, and it is Dark Angels week. I should probably move this screen announcement on there, but that's a good reminder to thank my most recent followers. We've actually just hit 50 followers on the channel, so I'm pretty happy about that. Thank you for following the channel. And if you miss the live streams, you can always check out past episodes on YouTube, Challenger Tabletop channel. And if we get to, I think I need 50 followers on YouTube to get a custom URL, so that would be pretty cool. Help me out by following me there if you haven't already. And it seems like a good time to thank our 10 most recent followers. So in the last few days, we got quite a lot of followers, and I do appreciate it. Want to thank the following: White Wolf Ranger, thank you. Mr. Altier, I remember you in chat. Wolf and Spawn, thank you. Cheeky Desk Nurgling, it was really fun chatting with you the other night. Kevin Kitsune. Tactical Metalhead, thank you. Aaron Tsum 1, it was fun chatting with you, thank you. Bionic Sheep. Mac 6453, thank you. And Dominion Dynamics, I recognize that name. Actually have a Warhammer 40k game against Dominion tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be our first time doing a test stream of a game of Warhammer 40k, so check that out. I'll be getting ready for that on my overnight shift today. Going to be playing 2 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, Saturday. So let's get into it. We're going to be painting a Storm Talon today for my Dark Angels Ravenwing. And this is a flyer for Space Marines. Let's see if I've got the video ready. We're going to give it a go. Here we go. All right, here is the Storm Talon. And this is actually going to be my second one I've painted. I'm looking around to see if I have the first one. Okay, good. it's handy. That's going to be helpful. All right, so it is going to be painted black, so we've got a lot of our work done for us since it's already primed, as you see. And I did prime some little white raven wing icons, which I already glued onto it. And I even painted the little struts or bars on the canopy. Now, this model did come secondhand on eBay, and it was missing the canopy, so I had to buy that separate. And I was a little bit disappointed to realize I probably got like a recast one, as it seems awfully flimsy compared to the one that my other Storm Talon came with. But this is what we're going to be painting today, and let's go ahead and get into it. And see if, I guess I don't really have my painting cam exactly focused correctly, so let's do that now. Hopefully it's working. Wake up, camera. Technical difficulties, I apologize. There we go. All right. So let's show you the one I've already painted. This will give you an idea of what we're going for here. I do have the canopy off on this one, but here you can see a Storm Talon painted in Ravenwing colors. And as usual, I've got my coffee here, but I actually forgot to bring a cup, so I might have to run get one really quick. Coffee is required. I was doing some construction work today, and I need to charge up a bit. So I do have one thing I have not painted on this model, which is if you look at the pilot here, he is still black, kind of like in Ravenwing armor, but I actually wanted him to be a tech marine. So I do want to paint him red. I might get that done today while we're painting the other Storm Talon too. We'll see how quick it goes. And the discussion topic today is going to be recent Games Workshop news and leaks, and the future of Games Workshop and the future of Challenger Tabletop channel. So stick around and chat and leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube, and hopefully we'll get some people in the stream in a bit. I am going to go ahead and put this back on the mini video so you guys can watch something exciting while I run get my coffee. I'll be right back. Just grabbing a cup. Alright, sorry for the interruption. I'm back and ready to get into some painting today. I think this model is going to go pretty quick. Let's go ahead and set this one aside. It gives you a sense of what I'm going for here. I do have some missiles for this other one. And I already lost a wing. Let's go ahead and stick that back on there. They're not glued, but it is cool. They can rotate up and down, so that's nice. And I've got my little easily lost pieces here. A couple of little rockets to substitute out for the las cannons on the front sides. And this is... Actually, these two canopies feel kind of similar. No, this one's definitely lighter. So here's the two canopies for the two models. Maybe they're both authentic. Hard to say when you get them off of eBay. Well, I think the French press here might need just a minute. We'll let that brew a little more. And let's get some brushes and paints out. I think the easiest way to start this is going to be, I don't think I need to touch anything up with black. So we're going to, I guess we might need that on hand. But we're going to start with some silver, I think. Let's see. Why did I put my paints away? So here's my silver. Looks like we're going to use Iron Hand Steel. It's a base paint. And I think we'll need some gold for the little Imperial icon on the front. And we'll want some red for the Mechanicus Tech Marine pilot there. Ravenwing Tech Marine. And let's see, anything else? Looking at the other model, looks like I used a little bit of green, orange, and yellow as some highlight colors for the little lights on the front. Let's see, I do have an orange, there it is. And do I have a green handy? Yeah, here we go. Okay, I think I've got pretty much all the paints I'm gonna need. Am I gonna want white? Maybe. We'll get out some white scar, just in case. All right, and I was, as usual, frantically making my show notes so I'd be able to remember what I wanted to talk about. As the topic today is Games Workshop leaks, announcements, recent box sets and models that have come out or been announced, and some stats that people are buzzing about. And I think I've got all of my stuff I wanted to bring up here listed. So we'll be getting into that. I just want to get my brushes out, get my coffee going, and soon we'll be painting. Might have Dominic joining us today, the player I'm going to be playing against tomorrow. He said he's got a model he needs to paint for tomorrow's game. A kit-bashed Eldrad Ulthwan. Ulthwan? Is that his name? Kit-bashed Eldrad. So I thought that's cool. Can't wait to see what he comes up with for that. Got my French press of coffee here. I use espresso roast. Used to work at Starbucks. I was a coffee master there. And I've been enjoying coffee every day ever since, pretty much. Ooh, that's hot. Probably needed to steep another minute too. Hey, Dominion, here you are. Confused on how to pronounce the name myself, but definitely excited. Hey, great to see you. I bet you're hard at work on that. I was sort of wasting time working on other miniatures before this. I was, here I'll show you, I was gluing my Patriarch to a larger base. He's on a 50mm now. We'll zoom in on this guy, this badass here. So this is my Patriarch for my Genestealer cults, and I had him on what, like a 32 or maybe a 40mm base, but I did move him up to a 50mm, and I did crack his nameplate trying to transfer it from one to the other. It's a resin printed nameplate, so it doesn't exactly flex. It'll snap if you try to flex it, but I got it glued on, so at least until I get one that's actually made for this base size, it should work okay. And then I was having fun searching my bits box for a bunch of Space Marine heads here. Dominion says, just done priming and waiting for items to dry. Important. Definitely going to work on him tonight. Damn, that skull base looks cool. Thank you. So I had it littered with Space Marine helmets and a couple heads chopped off of Necromunda models from when I converted them to be Genestealer cults. And I removed this yellow head from a eBay, what do you call them, Eradicators that arrived today. It was like a standard Intercessor helmet, so not the right kind of helmet, so I chopped that off, but I'm going to leave that one yellow in honor of my friend Mortimer's Imperial Fist that I've been fighting a lot recently. So always fun to have your usual opponent Space Marines as dead corpses on your models. And yeah, very excited to paint this up. The red sand, I'm just trying to add more sand and rubble to the base. I'm going to paint that gray. And yeah, very epic base for my leader of my Hive cult. Kind of appropriate to be working on that a little bit today, as we have a leak of the Genestealer cult's codex to talk about. So that's kind of exciting for me as a Genestealer cult's player. And maybe a fun way to start this stream would be to work on the base of this model. I am going to glue some sand to that, but now that I think about it, I actually want to paint it before I glue any sand down. You can see here kind of the base decoration I'm going for. with red sand, brown paint, and some static grass. So I actually want to paint the base brown before I start gluing the sand to it, because I like the color of the red sand being a little different than the rest of the base. Kind of creates a little more variety. So we're just going to mix up kind of a reddish brown paint and do that real quick. Then once that's dry, we'll glue some sand to it. That'll be fun. All right, got my fresh paint water. Gonna use a big brush for this. And we're just gonna mix some Wazdaka red, some SV88 brown, or XV88, and some Gorthor brown. Really looking forward to playing Dominic's Eldar tomorrow. It's going to be super exciting. I haven't played against Eldar in probably about 4 years. So I haven't played them in the most recent codex. And it'll be especially fun to think about how we can work Eldar into the campaign narrative a little bit. I did have one idea, which is that on the campaign map I made, how long ago now? Probably about 4 years ago at least. There was some Xenos ruins in the system on the closest planet to the star, Icarus 1. I think we can go ahead and remove this from the flight stand for now while we work on the base. So in the campaign narrative, on the planet closest to the star, Icarus 1, I did list some Xenos ruins among the features of the planet. And we have had a game against my friend Mortimer, probably, I don't know, right near the beginning of the campaign, so years ago, where we had a game set among those Xenos ruins, but we never really got to the bottom of what the source of them was. And that game was actually set at the Warp Rift on Icarus 1. I guess the 3 features I can remember it having are Xenos ruins, a Warp Rift, and a crashed Space Hulk. So it's kind of like an uninhabited planet. I imagine it being kind of like Mars or Mercury. And I imagine these Xenos ruins are like thousands of years old. And we are kind of in the proximity of the Eye of Terror, so maybe it was once upon a time Eldar ruins. That might give you a reason to be exploring them. But of course the campaign system is full of other planets, and they all have interesting locations that could be the setting for a game. But maybe the Eldar are searching the ruins for something. Or maybe you're attacking the Dark Angels on one of the Imperium planets in the system for some reason or another. I was feeling a little conflicted about the fact that you're going to be playing Eldar, and I was planning to play Imperium. I guess I'm the bad guy in this situation, so maybe you're just minding your own business and I'm seeking you out, or picking up your ship on a radar or something like that. But I always enjoy spending a little bit of time before the game thinking about some kind of narrative that could explain what's going on, how the armies are coming into conflict. And those Xenos ruins seem like a good idea. There's also like a secret weapons lab on maybe Icarus 4 could be an interesting site for a game. Maybe the Eldar have had some kind of premonition that one of these weapons under development is going to cause problems. Dominion Dynamics says Eldrad's craft world, Ulthway, specializes in fighting in the warp, is based near the Eye of Terror, so this pretty much aligns with Ulthway lore. Cool. protecting relics or keeping those that are most likely to be affected by the warp away. Interesting. Maybe also the Eldar have come to the planet because of the warp rift there, to either close it or prevent it from opening or prevent the Dark Angels from unleashing horrors out of it. There's also a planet which has become like a kind of a forbidden world to the Imperium. Let's see, Icarus 3 was kind of a hive world, I guess, with temperate forested kind of climate or biome. And it was a site where Typhus of the Death Guard unleashed a zombie plague that wiped out everyone on the planet. And ever since then, it's been like off limits to the Imperium. And that could be an interesting place that the Eldar have come for one reason or another. I guess we don't exactly need to know the reasoning of the Eldar for where they go or what they do. It's okay if they're a little bit mysterious. But the plan is Dark Angels versus Eldar. We have a house rule for the campaign, which is Imperium versus non-Imperium. So if you love the Imperium, you'll always have a chance to root for it in every game. And if you hate the Imperium and want to see it destroyed, then you'll always be able to root against it in every game. And in that case, you'll be rooting for Eldar this time around, which should be fun. All right, well, let's dive into painting this thing. I'm going to be leaving most of it just primered black, and I'm using silver to kind of edge highlight to make it look like it's kind of scratched and scuffed along its various edges, as it probably doesn't get a fresh coat of paint very often. And that's really how I'm going to finish most of this model. And then just adding silver, like little scratches and dings kind of all over here and there. That's pretty much the plan, so going to be pretty relaxed painting. Nothing too complicated, but I suppose I do have to be a little bit careful with all this edge highlighting. But on the other hand, if I do get a little bit of paint here or there where I'm not intending it, it can just kind of look like scuffs and scratches, so kind of hard to go very wrong when you're using this technique. And it's going to be black because I'm painting it as part of my Dark Angels Raven Wing. But unfortunately, it doesn't actually have the Raven Wing keyword, so it's not able to benefit in-game from stratagems that only work on Raven Wing, which are some really good stratagems, like it won't be able to get the invulnerable save from lightning fast reactions and that kind of thing. Too bad, so sad, but it's a beautiful model, and I'm really happy to have two of them now. I've been going for 2 of every flyer, since that's now the limit that was imposed in the new balanced data slate. Seemed like a good excuse to go ahead and max out the 2 for every faction. So let's compare this a little bit to my other model so I kind of know what I'm doing. All right. I did paint these engines silver, so we'll make it match. And we can start to discuss some of the Games Workshop rumors and leaks and the new box sets that have been coming out. I'm going to try to go roughly in chronological order of when stuff came out, so we'll get to the most recent stuff at the very end of the stream. And then when we run out of new releases and leaks and stuff, we'll talk a little bit about what might be coming down the road for Games Workshop and what the plans are for the channel. So stick around if you can. So the first thing I was going to talk about was the Shadow Throne box set. This is the box set that came out. It's out now, I think, and it's got the Genestealer cults and Custodes in it. And for Genestealer cults, this was when we first found out that we have a new character in the new codex, the Reductus Saboteur. And I have kit bashed one. Where is that? Right in front of me here. So here's my kit-bashed Reductus Saboteur. I've named him Diesel in honor of Vin Diesel, who I heard plays Warhammer. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard. And so I've got him about to trigger some detonations, and he's got like a remote detonator in his hand and some TNT in his other hand, because of course he's got 3 arms. And I gave him a cloak from an old Warhammer Fantasy Chaos Warrior. The reason for that is because he does have like a camo cloak that gives him +1 to cover saves, so I wanted to make sure that was represented on the model. And I've got him standing on like some cork, so that he's like up on a rocky outcrop for a better vantage point to know exactly the moment to set off his traps. And I gave him a little Drukhari blade on his belt there. Legs are from legs and torso are from Genestealer Cult Neophyte. So that's a fun model. Looking forward to painting him before too long. Back to the project at hand here. And so he came out as part of the, or she, I guess, the official model for a Reductus Saboteur is a she. Came out in the Shadow Throne box set, along with a new Custodes character. The Custodes got a Blade Champion who looks pretty cool. Kind of your classic melee fighter, duelist type character. And I didn't really, you know, honestly, I haven't looked too closely at all the Custodes rules. We'll go into just a few of them that I have followed, but we have now had, I think, leaks of all the new Custodes sub-chapters. I don't know exactly what you call their kind of orders or sub-factions. You can chime in if you know. But they have announced the new rules for Custodes coming out in the new codex, I guess, and previewed in Shadow Throne, which is the Martial Kata rules. And basically it's kind of like what does the Space Marines get that changes from turn to turn in the game? Give me a second, I can remember. Kind of like disciplines, doctrines. So it's kind of like the Space Marine doctrines. But the Martial Kata is one where you pick 3 before the game. You have like a primary, secondary, and tertiary. I keep losing my las cannons here. I had to really work to cut the cut these so that they would fit on. Oh no, I guess they're just not very snug. We'll leave those off for the moment. Oh yeah, this is the one I had to cut on the left. The missiles that were glued on here, I just could not get them off without breaking out the X-Acto knife. Secondhand model from eBay, so took a little bit of work to get it functional. So the Martial Kata seemed kind of interesting, and the way the rules were written seemed a little bit confusing, because basically you pick 3 before the battle, and then each turn you pick 1, and they had to say it in a very complicated way, but you have a first, a second, and a third, and you have to go through them in that order, which that part seems pretty straightforward. But specifically, it says you have to pick one every turn, and you can't pick the same one more than once, and you have to go through them 1, 2, 3. So that seems like a problem, because there's 5 turns in the game, and you only pick 3 katas. It seems like you're going to run out by turn 3. Then again, each one does have 2 different forms, so maybe that's it. Maybe you get to use your primary and then switch to the other form of your primary, and then do that with the second or the secondary and the tertiary. So I'm a little confused about exactly how they're going to work, but it kind of reminds me of Necrons, where they have to kind of program their battle strategy before the game, and then they shift from turn to turn through the ones that they pre-chose. Seems kind of similar to that. I think let's give him a little silver control panel here. But seems interesting. I think it's always fun when you have options like that where you have to kind of prepare your battle strategy, but they'll still have some flexibility to choose which of the two forms, I guess, from they want from each one. So that seemed interesting. And I'm sure Custodes players are excited for a new codex. I think that's one of the next ones coming out. I haven't paid attention to the release date for it. I'm not a Custodes player, so I don't get too excited about their releases. And I also have actually never played against Custodes, so that would be cool to try a game against them at some point. Have you ever played against Custodes, Dominion? Be curious to hear. Or what do you have the most experience playing against? Probably Space Marines. Or have you never played? I honestly don't know how much experience you have. But I'm curious. Very much looking forward to our game tomorrow. Just so you know, I'll sort of tell you about my play experience. I've probably played about... well, I've been playing since 1995, but I took a break when I went to college, picked it up again in about 2007 or so. And I've been playing pretty regularly the last couple years. For a while I was playing once a week last year. That was really fun. Me and my friend Sean Mortimer on here were playing about one game a week because we both had Fridays off. That was really cool. And I'd say I've probably, in terms of, I'd say maybe between 8th and 9th edition, I've played about maybe 100 games or so. Is that overestimating? Something like that. And maybe won about half of them. Probably less than half. I would say maybe I've won about 40% of my games. I have pretty good opponents, though. My friend Mortimer plays in tournaments, and my old roommate was very smart player, and he played Tau and Tyranids mostly. Mortimer plays Chaos and Tyranids, and most recently Imperial Fists. So those are the factions I have the most experience against lately. And of course my factions are Dark Angels, have the most experience, or I've been playing them the longest. I haven't been playing them as much lately. And Drukhari, I've played a lot of games with Drukhari, but again, not as much recently. I've been mostly playing my other two, Genestealer Cults and Orcs lately. With Genestealer Cults, I've probably played about 20 games at least, and Orcs, I've probably played maybe about 10 or 15 maybe. Oh, Dominion says only once, but I played with, oh, you're probably saying you've only played against Custodes once. But I played with Imperial Knights 2,000 point game. I'm most experienced with Tyranids and Death Guard. Cool. I don't know if I think the only time I played against Death Guard might have been that game that was related to Icarus 3 being overrun with zombies. Like a kind of a zombie plague virus. You'll be my first Loyalist Space Marine game. Wow, cool. That'll be fun. I am really shocked, actually. I started painting back in March-ish when my girlfriend was in school. August, we broke up. Oh, I'm sorry, man. So I gave up gaming and painting for a month, but I pushed myself back into it. Good man. And now it's been my passion and help ever since. Well, that's great to hear. I get a lot of joy out of 40K, and I've been single for a long time, so I definitely feel you there. I hope 40k is not the reason that either of us are single. That would be sad, but I have kind of heard those stories. You know, the old like, oh, we got him into 40k and then he got divorced or whatever. It's like, oh no. Sometimes the wife or girlfriend is not a fan of the 40k budget, especially, I think. So my friend who's married, and I got him into 40k, I buy him a lot of models like for Christmas and birthdays and stuff, because I don't want him to have to spend his whole budget in order to have a good army. So yeah, let's see. Shall we continue on with some of the other news that's come out? Probably something that made big waves recently is the Crusher Stampede. This is the Army of Renown for Tyranids. And Armies of Renown is kind of like the old, what did they call it back in the day? Specialist detachment or something like that. Basically, the idea is that you have to build your army while following certain guidelines, and then in exchange you get some special rules. And I'm not a fan of Armies of Renown, as I've said before, in that I feel like if you're going to get special rules, you should probably have the point value of your models adjusted to compensate for that. And in the case of Crusher Stampede, I feel like the things that you're giving up to get it really don't make your army any worse. In order to take Crusher Stampede, it's a Tyranid Army of Renown, and you have to give up bringing any 1-wound models or swarms. So you can have stuff like Tyranid warriors and giant monsters. And I think for every unit of like, for every unit that's not a monster, you have to bring at least one monster, something like that. So theoretically, half your units in your army are monsters. And there was kind of a name for this kind of Tyranid army already. What did people call it? Kind of like the Tyranid army made of all monsters. There was kind of a fun name for it too. Trying to remember here. Oh, Monster Mash. That's what people used to call it. Crusher Stampede is kind of like a Monster Mash army, you could say. And you can't bring any 1-wound models or swarms. But you can bring stuff like Hive Guard and Tyranid warriors. And then in exchange for that limitation, you get a whole bunch of awesome rules on your monsters and other models. So one of the things you get is a -1 damage across the board. And I'm getting used to -1 damage. My friend Mortimer tends to bring 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts every time we play. And that's a Dreadnought that has an inbuilt -1 damage. So anytime you deal multiple damage to it, it reduces the damage by 1, which makes them very hard to kill, very survivable. And I feel like -1 damage is an incredibly strong ability. And I'm not a huge fan of it being in the game, but it's been around enough now that I'm kind of starting to get used to it. And there are some models that have an even more kind of broken rule, like reduce all damage in half. So -1 damage is not even as strong as it gets now in terms of durability. But Crusher Stampede, if you bring that, then all your monsters get -1 damage. And they also get, I believe, a 5-up invulnerable save across the board. So the combination of those two things, 5-up invulnerable save and -1 damage, means that basically your monsters are going to be much harder to kill. And I feel like that is kind of a problem because, well, you end up in situations like, and I guess the other important thing they get is that they count as multiple models for the purposes of holding objectives. Specifically, I think they count as being as many models as they have wounds remaining. So that might be, you know, 15 or 20 wounds, so it would count as being 15 or 20 models, but the more you whittle them down, the fewer models they'll count as, so at least there is a way to kind of counteract that. But I played a game against Mortimer's Chaos Knights a while ago, and I was using my Dark Angels, who are pretty much like focused around 10th Company with some Ravenwing and Deathwing support. And 10th Company, or Phobos Marines, or Vanguard Marines, as you might call them, kind of have the problem of not having great anti-vehicle. So usually I'm relying on Eliminators with las fusils as my anti-vehicle. And those are basically snipers who have a one-shot sniper weapon, or they can trade that for a las fusil, which is a one-shot heavy weapon without the sniper rule, that deals 3 flat damage. I think it's strength 8, with like a -3 armor piercing. And against knights, Chaos Knights with you know, rotate ion shields stratagem for like 1 command point, they get a 4-up invulnerable save. I basically just could not get through them. So over the course of the 5 turns of the game, I killed 0 knights. I got some of them kind of low. I only managed to take out his 2 war dogs, which are kind of like armigers or armigers. They're basically like the smaller mini knights. So I managed to take out a couple of those, but I didn't kill 1 knight. Fortunately, thanks to the way 9th edition is so focused on objectives and the fact that I could start the game on the objectives with my infiltrating ability, I still scored pretty well, so it was like a pretty decently close game. I did lose, but traditionally when you play against someone whose models you can't kill, it tends to be kind of a feel-bad game. So what I worry about with Crusher Stampede is that, I mean, not necessarily me, but a lot of players are going to find themselves unable to kill these monsters between -1 damage and 5-up invulnerable save, which they're getting for free, you know, for no extra points. I think a lot of people are going to struggle to basically do anything to a Crusher Stampede list. You know, they might kill 1 monster, but in the course of 5-turn game, but in the meantime, they're just going to get steamrolled. And there is a very powerful stratagem for, I think it's for Crusher Stampede, where you get to basically charge one of your monsters into a unit and then roll dice for every wound your monster has remaining, and on like a, I don't know if it's a 4-up or 5-up or something, you get to deal mortal wounds to the unit up to a maximum of maybe 6. So basically you're going to be dishing out like 6 mortal wounds every turn from what I've seen. I watched a battle report with Crusher Stampede. The other thing I think is going to be kind of a problem, or I mean, you know, is going to be, I guess, highly effective with Crusher Stampede, is that these big Tyranid monsters can like charge from one objective to another one with their high movement rate. So, you know, 9th edition is very much about staying on objectives and being on objectives every turn. And I think a Crusher Stampede list is going to be able to, like, turn 1, move on to the objectives on your side of the table. So you'll be holding, you know, probably 3 objectives on turn 2. And then on turn 2, move and charge directly onto the objectives that the enemy is holding. Or maybe onto midfield objectives turn 2 and then onto the enemy objectives turn 3. So basically, with having big movement rates and charge distances, these big monsters are going to be on objectives the whole game long. So they're going to get a great primary score. And every time they charge onto an enemy objective, they're going to pretty much wipe whatever unit is holding it off of the objective, even if it's Terminators or whatever. With all those mortal wounds, I don't think much of anything will be able to stand up to them. So it seems super powerful. I'm actually looking forward to playing some games against Crusher Stampede so I can really, you know, make up my mind about it. But it seems like it's going to be fun to play and not so fun to play against, but I hope I'm wrong. I have heard people say that Tyranids needed some help, and maybe these big monsters were not in a good place in the current edition, but I don't know. It seems like they'd be good. And I'm kind of afraid that the Army of Renown is being used to fix the codex problems of the Tyranids, and I don't think Armies of Renown is the proper way to go around rebalancing units, because generally you're not paying points for the Armies of Renown, and what they really need is probably just a new codex. And then sure, give these monsters 5-up invulnerable save and -1 damage built in, but make them pay the points to get those abilities. Then I feel like it would be more balanced. So those are my thoughts on Crusher Stampede. People are pretty much going to be combining it with Leviathan Hive Fleet, I think, because it seems like they have the most synergy there. I think Leviathan is kind of lends itself to big monsters. I guess I have my desk lamp in frame here. Let's just move that out of the way a little bit. This is my Dark Angels week. That's why I'm been painting Dark Angels. I did the last 2 days. I was painting my new used Falchion Super Heavy tank, and very excited to do that. And I'm just kind of continuing with the Dark Angels theme today, working on this Storm Talon. Then I think what are we gonna paint next week? I haven't decided. I guess I'll have fun deciding that. Maybe we'll go for some Orcs, maybe some Drukhari, maybe some Genestealer Cult. I've got a lot of Genestealer Cult stuff to paint. Or maybe we'll start repainting some of my Genestealer Cult stuff as Astra Militarum. That's a project I'm looking forward to. Oh, I see this comes all the way out. We recently had the announcement that Genestealer Cults are going to have much more restricted options for bringing Astra Militarum units as allies. The sort of Brood Brothers allies, they call them. And so I had a ton of stuff that I was planning to make into Brood Brothers that is probably not going to be allowed. Stuff like Astra Militarum Ogrins. And so I decided to, instead, I was going to paint them up as an Astra Militarum army. That way I'll have not just Dark Angels, but 2 different Imperium armies to choose from. And so I started out being bummed about the changes to Brood Brothers, but I ended up being super excited for Astra Militarum. And I ordered some Catachans. I'm going to combine them with some of these old, what do you call them, Rogue Trader era penal troopers, like basically prisoner troopers, to make a conscript unit. 20 strong conscript unit, that'll be fun. Well, we're making pretty good progress with this silver edge highlighting here. Don't have too much left to do, but then again, it's kind of like you never know when to stop doing this kind of thing. Could go around hitting every single edge. I guess I'm mostly wanting to get these engines done. Silver. Usually I go bronze or brass on engines, but I guess I just decided to go silver on these. Let's make sure it matches the other one. Yep. Add some little like bullet dings. This flyer does have -1 to hit, which is fun. It's like hard to hit. But it has like a second flying mode where it can like switch to hover and then it loses hard to hit. But it also loses airborne. So I believe if you go into hover mode, it can actually hold objectives, which is cool. Got that trade-off though of do you want to be hard to hit or do you want to hold objectives? So it seems like a good trade-off to me. Unless there's a rule that says flyers can never hold objectives, but I think that's just the airborne rule. Most of those rules are now on the data sheet, which is convenient. So let's see, we were talking about Crusher Stampede. I don't think I have a whole lot else to say about it, except that I kind of feel like Monster Mash was already a really good Tyranid army, and one of the things that it does, I can't think of what you call this tactic, but basically when you only bring stuff that's like high toughness, it kind of renders all of your opponent's low strength weapons useless. For instance, if you imagine you only had an army made up of toughness 8 models, like an army of knights, and your opponent has a bunch of strength 4 weapons, those are only going to be wounding you on 6s, so they're going to be more or less useless. And anytime that you can make a good portion of your opponent's weapons useless, that is a kind of a good tactic. So I felt like a Monster Mash army is already good without having to give it -1 damage across the board or an invulnerable save across the board. But, you know, then again, you know, I saw somebody made a video, something like, should Games Workshop games be balanced? Like, you know, sometimes when they're, things are not exactly balanced, it kind of creates some buzz and excitement about around the game. So I don't know. Sometimes giving a faction a really powerful build kind of invigorates players to buy models, and if they play that faction and if they play against that faction, it motivates them to buy models to counter it. So I found myself doing that. After Crusher Stampede and the next thing I'm going to talk about, I decided to pick up some models specifically as counters. So the other thing I was going to bring up here that came out, I think, right after Crusher Stampede was the preview of the rules for the new Tau Hammerhead railgun. So this is the railgun mounted on the Hammerhead grav tank for Tau. And I guess railgun used to be quite powerful back in the day. I don't honestly remember what its stats used to be. But we found out that it's going to be very strong in the new Tau Codex and have some very good special rules. So I guess I have them open here in another window. Let's take a look. So the new Tau railgun is going to be range 72 inches. That's cool. It's going to basically cover the entire board. There'll be, as long as you can be seen, you'll have nowhere to hide from it. Well, I guess you'll have to make good use of obscuring terrain to hide from it, as that will block line of sight, and it does seem like it needs line of sight to fire, so that's good. Did you ever see that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Eraser, where they had like a handheld railgun rifle that with an X-ray scope, so it could just fire through anything? That was pretty awesome. But the Tau railgun's gonna be 72-inch range, heavy 1, so it's only gonna get 1 shot a turn. I would say that's like the weakest thing about it. And being a heavy weapon, it also means, I believe, that it will get -1 to hit if it's shooting at something in melee range. So at least if you can get into melee with it, it will have to shoot at whatever's in melee, and it will have -1 to hit from being a heavy weapon. So that's a little something. I guess that's as close as you get to a weakness with this weapon. And weapons that are only one shot can definitely be hit or miss. I experienced that with my eliminators with las fusils. They get just one shot each, but at least if I keep them stationary, being Dark Angels, they'll be hitting on a 2-up, so they're pretty reliable. But in a squad of 3, it's pretty common that I will miss with 1. And then you still have to roll to wound, but the railgun is going to be strength 14. So that means it's going to be wounding pretty much everything on a 2 or better, except models that have transhuman or transhuman physiology or a similar rule. So that is a rule that my Deathwing Terminators have, and it's a stratagem that any Primaris Space Marine can use, usually for 1 command point, which says you cannot be wounded on a roll of 1, 2, or 3. And it was just announced that the Hive cult that I use for my Genestealer cult, which is Twisted Helix, is going to have a similar rule, but it's going to be on a 1 or a 2. They can only be wounded on a 3 or better. So I have to say I am not a huge fan of transhuman physiology or these kind of rules. I feel like a strength 14 weapon shouldn't be, you know, less effective just because it's shooting a Deathwing Terminator. I don't quite understand like the explanation for why that would be. But at least they seem to be spreading these kind of rules around, giving them to more different factions now. So it's not only for Primaris Space Marines anymore. And same thing with the -1 damage. I think for a while it was pretty much just the Redemptor Dreadnought that had it, and it seemed very overpowered. But they've been giving that rule to more and more units in different codexes, and we've started to see some units get the very powerful rule that they take half damage from everything. So -1 damage all the time is very strong, but at least it's not only for Space Marines. Seems like almost every faction is getting something that has a -1 damage or a half damage rule. So they're spreading the love around. Am I staying on camera? Let's take a quick look here. Yeah, sorry if I get off camera. I've got a window open to look at these railgun stats. So it's strength 14, which means it's going to be wounding a lot of stuff on 2s, but at least toughness 8 vehicles, it'll have to roll a 3. But I'm thinking that with the Tau marker lights and the other kind of synergies that they have, almost all their synergies are based around shooting. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're getting +1 to hit, re-rolling 1s to hit, getting +1 to wound, or re-rolling wounds. All of that seems pretty likely to me by the time you're actually facing a hammerhead on the table. But strength 14 and AP -6. So when are you ever going to get a save against AP -6? If you could get to a 1-up save, you still wouldn't get a save. You'd be trying to roll a 7+. Dominion says that feeling with the lore to tabletop always is annoying. Yeah, when they don't quite match up. The D-Scythe and Wraith Cannon on Wraith units for Eldar in lore opens up portals to the warp, but then it'll have AP -1 or 1 damage. It's a portal to the warp, shot directly or near someone. LOL. Yeah, I feel you there. The Necrons have some similar weapons where they like banish you to a pocket dimension or something. I love that. So, I guess the good news for you is that Eldar are getting an update. We've been getting some previews now of the new Avatar of Cain, and I think, a leak of the Wraith Knight update. So that's kind of fun. Be talking about those in a second. But I guess we'll finish out on the railgun. Getting to the super exciting stuff. Damage D3 plus 6. And I do feel like that is unbelievable. Plus 6 to your damage roll. Seems crazy, but it is a railgun. I mean, talking about firing a projectile, how fast? Mach 5? I don't exactly know. How fast does a railgun shoot a projectile? Maybe there's not a clear set answer to that, but you know, a railgun, I mean, you are talking about like probably one of the most powerful ballistic weapons that you could imagine. Still a ballistic weapon when it's being fired with like an electromagnet. Is that, I don't know, hard for me to say. It is cool that now we have at least prototype railguns in the US military. They were really science fiction for a long time, but they're here now. I don't know if you followed or seen videos of the experimental railguns being fired, but the projectile, I think, travels so fast it actually deforms in midair, and it also, I think, wears out the barrel after just a few shots because it is under such intense stress. Well, making some good progress with the silver. Maybe we should switch to another color. Let's see. I haven't quite finished these guns here. So it's got damage D3 plus 6, and then it has some incredible special rules. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, invulnerable saves cannot be made, so no invulnerables, and probably no save at all. And the mortal wounds, yeah. Each time a successful wound roll is made for an attack with this weapon, the target suffers 3 mortal wounds in addition to any other damage. Dominion says it does mortal wounds on top of the D3 plus 6, yep, 3. And railguns in real life are magnetic slugs, fire with electric charge, high velocity, no drop from the round, always intense. Yeah. Boy, I've been watching videos the last couple days on the kind of military threat that Taiwan is under, and I'm just thinking, I hope we don't have to see these weapons actually used in a war anytime soon. But then again, in other news, I think there's been kind of an economic collapse going on, not just in China, but kind of around the world the last couple days. I think, unless I'm mistaken, I think electronic currencies like bitcoins and stuff are like dropping significantly, and I don't know what else is going on. I think the Chinese housing market has started to kind of collapse, has been in a huge bubble, kind of like the US in 2008, but even worse. I heard something ridiculous like I don't know, I think like real estate in China's, you know, something like 50 or 100 times more expensive than like anywhere else, because like there's not really any other way to invest your money. You can't buy stocks in companies. It's not easy to invest in a company, so pretty much the only way people can grow their money is to buy property, and the property market has gotten so crazy that people are buying apartments in brand new buildings sight unseen. And some of the buildings don't even have stuff like stairs or elevators because the developers are just in such a hurry, and they are kind of like duping the people who are buying them. I don't know. Sounds like a bad situation. But yeah, so that means the railgun is going to have minimum damage 10 if it wounds. You're going to have like no save at all. And I guess you're only rolling a D3, so it's just going to do like between 10 and 12 damage. But that's still enough to basically destroy transports in one shot. And I don't know exactly how many points the hammerhead is going to be, but I was kind of under the impression it was going to be like 140 points. And it seems like the railgun by itself can wipe out like a 100-point transport every turn if you can't take out the hammerhead. So brutal. maybe overpowered. But yeah, so between Crusher Stampede and the new Hammerhead stats, I finally broke down and got some Eradicators. The Space Marine, like, super overpowered anti-tank. And I guess they did get a bit of a nerf a while back, so maybe they're more balanced in terms of their point cost now. But I picked up 6 Eradicators, and I might get 3 more even to max out the 9 that you can possibly take. And kind of excited to paint those up and use them in game. I was just working on them today a bit. The second set of 3 just arrived in the mail today, so that was exciting. Alright, I think I'm done with the, what are these, salt cannons on the front here. And I've really kind of gone wild doing like silver dry brush all over this thing for edge highlights. So we could probably call it good on silver. I think I've done enough. Okay, I got the engines on the front, and let's just double check the back. Kind of missed a few spots here. And underneath. All right, all looks pretty good. So one thing I like about the Storm Talon is it can kind of rest on the ground like it landed. That's kind of fun. And I think we're done talking about the railgun. Oh, it does have a stratagem that's going to make it also good against hordes. Like, you know, it'll do some serious damage against squads of like 15 or 20 with its sub-munition stratagem. I think it's just 1 command point, and it basically fires like a mortal wound volley against a squad. And the way it works is something like you roll a dice for every model in the target squad, and for every 4 up you get a mortal wound. So you would average like 5 mortal wounds against a squad of 10, or 10 mortal wounds against a squad of 20, but it has a maximum of 8 mortal wounds. I think let's take a quick look at our other Storm Talon and just make sure we're keeping up with this, making it match. I think I'll paint both Tech Marines tonight. Oh, we could take a little break from painting this thing to glue some sand to the base. Or maybe I'll leave the base for after the stream. It's kind of like an extra thing. And I do have a time limit today. We're at 1 hour. I have until 11. And I have to go to my overnight shift and get some sleep. And then we're going to play Dominic tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. We're going to play a 1,000 point incursion game. We're going to start with 1,000 point games on the channel. And once we can play those fast enough, then we'll look at doing 2,000 points. Or maybe we'll make 2,000 points for members only. I don't know. We'll see. So moving on, we got another box set announced. And I wonder... Oh, I know what I missed was the control panel on this other one. So Dominic, I wonder if you've noticed the announcement of the new box set that's going to feature Eldar versus Chaos. That seems down your alley. I bet you've seen it. It's going to be called Eldritch Omens box set. And it features Eldar, Eldari versus Chaos. And it's got quite a few new models in it. There's an Eldar Autarch, armed with a Reaper launcher and Starglaive. It's going to have updated Rangers, which is super exciting. I love Rangers. I don't feel like they're amazing in the game, but they are just so cool looking. Eldar snipers with camo cloaks. And I quite like the update to the models. I think they look great. Have you seen them? And what's your opinion of the new models in the box set? I'd be curious to hear. Dominion says, oh, those Rangers are definitely going to be drafted into my army. Don't worry. Awesome. And then there's also like a new jet bike. Rangers riding on a jet bike tandem. So 2 Eldar riding on 1 jet bike. There's like a pilot and a ranger with a sniper rifle riding behind him. So very interesting. And those are called Shroud Runners. And they're riding on a Raptor jet bike. And I kind of get the impression the Raptor jet bike is like a little beefier than a regular jet bike. Or is Raptor jet bike the standard Eldar jet bike? I'm not sure. I realized I missed the little vents on that guy previously. And oh, what I also missed is these kind of hinges that the wing rotates on. Let's go ahead and dry brush those silver real quick. Alright, that looks good. I went a little overboard with silver on this. I might do a little cleanup with black later. Alright, back to the new one. So let's see, what else is going to be in there? Chaos has a Chaos Warpsmith. Very cool, kind of like the Chaos equivalent of a Tech Marine, but allied with the Dark Mechanicum. And the Dark Mechanicum is one of those things that seems super cool. Basically the Chaos shadow of the Mechanicus. And it's kind of rare that we get units that are associated with Dark Mechanicum. I guess the Forge Fiends are. There's one of those in the box. And it was cool when those came out a while back. And there's going to be updated Chaos Chosen. So I guess both armies are going to get a new data sheet out of the book, or out of the box, because I think Chaos Warpsmith is new. I could be wrong, but I think that's a new character. And the Shroud Runners are new. I'm pretty sure Autarch is already something you can take. Dominic says, the bikes I feel will be interesting. It'll replace the regular Wind Rider bikes, so that'll be neat. I'm curious to see how they work, honestly. The Autarch is great, because before it was resin. Oh, okay, so there was an Autarch. And I hate how easily it fell apart. But the update in general is nice. I've played with someone of the new rules already, bringing some of them for our game. Oh, cool, great. If that's okay, yes, that's totally okay. But overall, finally something that doesn't include Ultramarines for once. All right, so it was cool to see the new models. The Autarch is interesting. I think the pose is a little static, just kind of standing there and also kind of at a weird angle, but plenty of conversion possibilities there. And looks like a cool weapon loadout for the Autarch. Rangers, I love the models. The Shroud Runners, I really love. I think they look awesome and just seem exciting. And I assume they're going to have sniper rule and huge mobility, so that's interesting. And you do have guys with cloaks riding on jet bikes, so I wonder if they're going to be getting like a cover bonus from their cloaks. Could be interesting. The Chaos Warpsmith, I think the model's a little boring. Dominic says, Eldar Codex will include, Harlequins, Ynnari, Drukhari, Craft Worlds in one codex. That means I'm going to have to get that codex for my Drukhari, and it makes me wonder how they are going to be updated. The Drukhari already had like 3 codex in one because they have Cabal, Cult, Cult and Coven, a witch cult, I guess. And then each of those had sub-factions. So it's kind of amazing that all of that is going to be included in the Eldari Codex. It's probably going to be a beefy book. But that's exciting. I guess it makes sense that they're all going to be in one because Ynnari was already letting you combine all the different Eldari together. And in order to do that, you were having to buy multiple codex. So that'll be kind of nice. Maybe it will tempt me to give Ynnari a spin. You only really need to pick up like a couple extra characters. And I quite like the Visarch. I don't know if you've seen that model, but he's very cool looking. Dynamic pose, cool sword, cool cloak. Everything about him is great. Oh, I know what I haven't painted is these little las cannons. Might be easier to paint them just loose here. Do kind of the same thing with a little dry brush around the edge, and then the barrels I'm going to paint silver. with probably red on the kind of the tip. We'll just knock these out super quick. So yeah, the I think the Chaos Warpsmith looks cool, but just kind of like a slightly generic pose, and he looks like his pose is very similar to a Tech Marine. I don't know exactly what I would expect, how they could have done it better, but it's always cool to get anything Dark Mechanicus, so I'm happy to see him. And it comes with a Forge Fiend, just the standard Forge Fiend that has been out for a while. Pretty cool kit. I seem to remember it's kind of like up on its haunches, kind of weird. Dominion says Visearch and Ynead are both good looking models, but having to buy 3 codexes and 3 different model type kits, the vibe kills the vibe for me slightly. Maybe when I stop being lazy. Well, I think there's something to be said for being loyal to regular plain Eldar, as it were. I think Eldar are super cool, and they're just so like you know, famous as far as having been in the game for so long, and they're kind of unique in 40k in that they are kind of like good guys. And I say that because after the fall of the Eldar Empire, when their kind of bad behavior and corruption manifested in the Warp as a new chaos god of Slaanesh, and basically ripped the galaxy apart, creating the Eye of Terror. After that, they had to learn how to control their sort of emotions and impulses in order to escape being destroyed by Slaanesh. And I think they do that through like meditation and self-control, which is kind of interesting. You know, I think that makes them as close as you get to good guys in 40k, which makes them unique and cool. We could always incorporate some sort of good guy Eldar into our narrative in our games. Maybe they're coming to help the people in the Icarus system, and the Dark Angels are just not having it. What are you doing here? We're here to help. We don't believe you. Die! Maybe that's all the narrative we need. But yeah, I think it would make sense for the Eldar to be in pursuit of some relics or lost civilization, or maybe trying to stop some kind of chaos incursion, or try to stop some prophecy from being completed, or maybe they've just had some psychic warnings about something that's going on in the system. Lots of ideas. We'll have to think about it some more, brainstorm. Usually that's how I come up with narrative ideas. It just kind of bounce ideas off each other until someone says, oh yeah, we totally have to do that. Well, let's put these two side by side. They're starting to look kind of similar. Maybe it's time to paint some red. Oh, I also have these little missiles that can go on here. And I want to paint them kind of to match these other ones that you can see. So I'll leave it red on the inside. I'll paint the missiles themselves a little bit of a brighter red. But I want to paint the outside of the missile black. And so let's go ahead and get that done. I do have some black paint ready here. How's your painting coming, Dominic? I think you're working on your Eldrad now? Kit Bash Eldrad? I can't wait to see what you've come up with there. Maybe you I'm sure you'll probably post a picture on your Instagram, I hope. And yeah, I hope you don't mind if I share your Instagram. You're spot on with the vision idea. Eldrad, oh yeah, Eldrad's always having visions and prophecies, is considered the most powerful farce here, and often wins battles or even prevents them by seeing the future and twists the future to help protect his people. Well, that's interesting. That makes me think I should tell you more of the stuff that's been going on in the Icarus system, because it could kind of factor into his visions. So, the Icarus system was ravaged 100 years ago by Abaddon's Black Crusade. And Abaddon abducted human populations from Icarus II, which was an agri world, like an agricultural farming world, and from Transcendence, which is a moon of Icarus V, which was kind of like a garden moon or a shrine moon. And that's where like all of the richest and wealthiest people in the system would move if they were able, because it was just the nicest place to live. And then they all ended up getting killed or abducted pretty much by Abaddon. And on those two planets, or that planet and that moon, I guess on Icarus II, it had been an agri world, and it kind of reverted to, okay, Dominion says, and yes, okay, this is your model you're working on. He's going slow, but good. I will definitely post on Insta, and feel free to spread the word. Okay. So let's see, I think I have it open. So Dominic's Instagram is called Dominion_Dynamics. Check him out. You can see some AdMech, some Wraith stuff for Eldar, some Age of Sigmar models, and looks like, oh, is that a Wraith Knight? Is that what that's called? And some Tyranid, and looks like a Chaplain. So very cool, a big variety. So yeah, back to the background of the campaign setting. So Icarus II kind of reverted from being a very productive, successful agri world. It just didn't have enough population after the Chaos Fleet basically abducted, like, I think we said probably like 95% of the population. So it kind of reverted to being like a feudal world. And people have been gradually kind of building back up, but they've been mostly focused on their own survival, and they could no longer meet their quotas of like food shipments to the wider Imperium. And I think that what's happening now is that finally, 100 years later, they're starting to get reinvestment from the rest of the Imperium, and troop ships are showing up, bringing supplies. Probably settlers are arriving and starting to rebuild some of the farms. Maybe they're starting to be able to send out some meager food shipments, but not on the scale that they used to, kind of thing. And then Transcendence, which was the moon, has gone from being like a beautiful garden world that was kind of looked like one giant golf course, and it's all become totally overgrown, and a bunch of like dangerous flora and fauna escaped from captivity, where people had like deadly like man-eating plants that were just like, oh, check out my garden, and now they've just gotten loose and spread across the surface of the moon. My paint is a little too thick here. I was trying to do the one coat paint job, and I'm getting brush marks, so I gotta water it down a little bit here. And so it's become an incredibly dangerous planet. And then when the populations were abducted from the hives, very few... Okay, so I guess as Abaddon's armies were sort of ravaging the planet and bombing the hives and stuff like that, most of the populace, remember these are sort of the important citizens of the system, tried to evacuate. And the Dark Angels were helping to protect the evacuation, but nevertheless, Abaddon and his Black Legion kind of swooped in and captured the actual evacuation ships. So all the population that was trying to escape ended up falling directly into Abaddon's hands, pretty much served up on a platter as they filled the evacuation transport craft, and then Black Legion pilots basically took over the cockpits of the craft and flew them up to the Chaos Fleet. So they eventually became slaves or cultists or Chaos Space Marines. Leaving behind only like probably, again, maybe 5% of the population who were the less important people, the serfs and the slaves and the servitors and stuff like that were left behind. And there must have been a small Genestealer cult's population hiding in the deepest parts of some of the hives. And over the course, or I guess immediately after the hives were pretty much abandoned, the Genestealer cults would have rose up and basically taken over the hives. So as the hives became overrun with Genestealers and Genestealer cults, whatever people were left who could escape would have fled out of the hives into basically the wilderness of Transcendence Moon, the increasingly hostile wilderness. And since then they've been living like basically cavemen, or living in like tree forts and tree houses. And so the population has really become almost like a savage population on Transcendence Moon. And since then, a Tyranid scout craft, like probably the size of a skyscraper, landed on Transcendence Moon. And so it has some low-level Tyranid infestation, in addition to the Genestealer cults. And there's also some Tau colony ships have shown up on Transcendence Moon and tried to help the sort of cavemen people and at the same time assimilate them into the Tau Empire. Looks like I kind of missed some spots on these engines. Let's just dab a little silver paint under there. And then on Icarus 2, the Agra world, that's now become kind of a feudal world, there have been kind of a discovery or revealed that there is an underground Imperial Fists fortress where a whole army of Imperial Fist Primaris Marines were kept in stasis, waiting to be, you know, activated, I guess, along with the rest of the Primaris Space Marines. So Call must have sent them there and had this place built long ago. And for thousands of years, these Imperial Fist Primaris Space Marines have been sitting unknown to everyone in the system, waiting to be activated in this like secret base. And so we had kind of a 5-game series of battles where the Dark Angels and Black Legion fought their way down to the very bottom of this 5-level underground huge base to where the Imperial Fists were in stasis, and fought a battle to Abaddon was trying to destroy the base, and the Imperial Fists, or I mean the Dark Angels, were trying to save the Imperial Fist Primaris and, you know, basically cover them while they activate and wake up. And the Dark Angels won that series of games. This was my Dark Angels against Mortimer's Black Legion. And so the Imperial Fists activated and woke up from their stasis, and their base was prevented from being destroyed. And since then, they have been busy fortifying their base and fortifying the planet, and they've started construction of a vast fortress above their underground base. So that's been going on with the Imperial Fists on Icarus 2. And then I just played a game against German and his, that's his name, of the player's German, and his Sisters of Battle, And we decided that they've recently arrived in the system, and they are also starting construction on Icarus 2. So there's a lot of new development and construction going on Icarus 2 as monasteries and Imperial Fist Fortress are being built. And what else is going on in the Icarus system? I think that's probably about what's been going on Icarus 2 and Transcendence. So there is also Icarus 3, which was the hive moon or hive planet where Typhus unleashed his plague, zombie plague, and that killed everybody on the planet. They all turned into zombies. And that was 100 years ago during the 13th Black Crusade. And ever since, the planet's been off limits. And that means that there's probably, you know, about a dozen abandoned hives on Icarus 3. And nobody really knows for sure if the zombies are still walking around 100 years later, or if they maybe have died out, or maybe they've been replaced by even worse forms of Nurgle demons and stuff. So Icarus 3 is still a big mystery, and could be interesting to have a game set there where we start to find out what the fate of that planet has been in the intervening century. Got some red paint where I didn't really mean to put it there. Alright, but I got the first coat on the las cannons. They're looking like that. Pretty much what I'm going for. I'll give the red another coat and then they'll probably be pretty good. I did highlight the missiles here with a little bit of an orange paint, and they're getting pretty close. I should give them a little silver around the edges so they look a little scratched up too. And there's also kind of a little, what do you call it, like a targeter on there. And on the other one I painted that green. Maybe I'll also paint this light while I've got red paint. And I'll come give it like a highlight in orange and then yellow. Alright, a little messy, but okay. Anything else red on this other one? Oh, I was going to paint the Tech Marines red. Let's get a first coat of paint on them. I want it to be almost like a dry brush, so I'm going to get some more red paint here. And then they both have a Mechanicus shoulder pad, but on different shoulders. That's kind of unfortunate. I wonder which shoulder it's supposed to be on. Well, let's just paint them red. That'll be good enough. So Icarus 3 is kind of a mystery. It's like a plague world or a forbidden world. Well, I gotta be kind of careful with this. It's gonna be tricky. I don't think there's any way to get the brush down on his foot. Try. Oh, there we go. We're doing it. I guess I might have to come back and do a little cleanup. And yeah, what else should I tell you about the system? So Icarus 1 is like uninhabited, but it has the Xenos ruins and a warp rift. Those could be definitely locations for a battle. And I guess we'll have to think a little bit about how are the Dark Angels getting involved, or why. Could be as simple as they pick up the Eldari craft signature on their sensors and they come to attack them for trespassing kind of thing. Oops, that shoulder pad should be black because it has a Raven Wing icon on it. Well, okay, hopefully that gives you some stuff to think about. There's also a Mechanicus moon, which has, it's called Rast, and it's the other moon of Icarus 5, along with Transcendence. And it's got a variety of Imperial features on it, but it also has a Necron tomb. It's like a Necron tomb moon, and nobody knew it, and the Mechanicus came along and turned the whole surface of the planet into factories. But now the Necrons have started to wake up, and I think also we haven't really played games on Rast recently, so who knows if there's still if the factories are still operating, or if the Necrons have totally stopped all production. But could be fun to play a game on Rast as well, if it jumps out at you. Oh, and then there's Icarus 4, has like a secret weapons lab. That's another potential option for a battle site. Any threat to the secret weapons lab would definitely bring a response from the Astartes in the system. And there's 2 planets that have a shrine to the Emperor, or an Imperial shrine. I guess it's the 2 moons. Rast and Transcendence both have a shrine, but the shrine on Transcendence is kind of lost in the wilderness, and it was desecrated by Abaddon back in the day. And it's technically the responsibility of the Dark Angels to protect that shrine, but they might have lost their records of exactly where it is, and they have to go find it again in the wilderness. So that could be an interesting, maybe a series of games. Alright, well, we're getting there. I wonder if I should give him a red shoulder pad. I think that's appropriate for a red trim on his shoulder pad. I think that's appropriate for a Tech Marine. Alright, got a first coat on there. Let's fix this one where I painted the shoulder pad the wrong color. Well, shall we move on with some other announcements and stuff? Eldar have gotten actually some new previews and leaks of some of their cool stuff that's coming out. I guess we touched on that. The Avatar. Have you seen that you're going to be getting a new Avatar this year? Probably to go with the new Codex. Avatar of Cain. I don't know exactly the story of the Avatar of Cain. I gather that Cain was an Eldar god, and then somehow he got like broken into shards, which are all like burning and on fire, and the Avatar of Cain is like one shard or piece of their broken Eldar god. Something like that? Am I close? Anyway, pretty cool lore. And the Avatar traditionally is like an inspiring presence on the battlefield to all the Eldar around him. And just like a melee powerhouse with a giant sword. And you could get him in the Dawn of War 2 game, and he was super epic. That was really cool. And we got some preview of him, of his stats. You're spot on for a quick sip of knowledge for people who don't know. I think I dropped a, dropped a las cannon. I actually have to run to the restroom. I'm going to put the model video back up, and I'll be back in just a second. And I'm back. Back to the painting cam. Alright. Kind of good and bad about painting these Tech Marines. The good thing is that you're not going to be able to see them super clearly through the windshield canopy. The bad thing is that you're not going to be able to get to him to paint him either. So you kind of got to do a good job before you seal him up, but at least people won't be able to see him too clearly. So yeah, avatar. Do you have an avatar? Or are you excited to get one? I guess that's a question. And we've seen, I guess maybe, I don't know if this is a leak or a reveal, but apparently the avatar is going to be 270 points and has incredible stats. Movement 10, okay, that's reasonable. Weapon skill 2 up, ballistic skill 2 up. Dominic says, I was going to get a third-party avatar, but I'll wait to see how this one looks. Cool. I haven't seen third-party avatars. I bet there's some interesting ones out there. So he apparently is going to have 2 attack modes. So he'll have like a crowd clearing attack. Probably lets him, you know, make double the number of attacks or something like that. And he will have like a super beefy high damage attack for single targets. And then he's gonna have some kind of like beam style shooting attack, so I assume that means it's gonna like fire in a line and hit everything under the line, maybe, which usually those are hard to make great use of, and especially if your opponent sees it coming, they can kind of spread out their troops so that you're like never able to hit more than one thing with a beam. So but maybe in certain situations it'll be good, and it'll probably be high damage. So he's going to be strength 7, toughness 8, with 14 wounds, 7 attacks. Whew. And I bet that'll go to at least 14 in one of his attack modes. Leadership 10, with a 2-up save and a 4-up invulnerable save. And I believe he's also going to have reduce all damage in half, which means his 14 wounds is going to be more like 28 wounds, really. I guess unless you're hitting him with 1 damage attacks, which you're going to have a hard time wounding him at toughness 8. So it sounds like a real powerhouse. And for just 270 points, I think we'll be seeing a lot of Mr. Avatar on the battlefields of the 41st millennium going forward. Seems like maybe almost a must-take for Eldar. And I'm sure he's going to have some really good kind of aura ability to inspire nearby troops. That's guaranteed. Oh, I guess he's going to have a charge reroll for aura for core units. That sounds pretty good. Sounds like he'll go well with other melee Eldar. And certainly he'll inspire them to go charging into combat, which is cool. This guy has some little screens on his dashboard here. I should probably paint some kind of accent color there. And since the Tech Marine is red, I probably want to go green as an accent for these little computer screens. And maybe I should use red to pick out 1 or 2 of the little buttons on his console there. Doing my second coat of red on the Tech Marine, and then I'll also do kind of an orange highlight a little bit too. Probably not using the right brush for this. Guess I'm just being in a little bit of a hurry, not wanting to change brushes. And thinking it's going to go fast if I'm using a big brush, which is not the right way to think. Looks like the black's still a little bit wet, so I'm having a hard time painting his trim here. That'll work. Painting this guy as a red Tech Marine is kind of like a bit of a lore decision, because this vehicle does not get Raven Wing bonuses. So I thought, oh, that's probably because it's piloted by a Tech Marine who's like not as good of a pilot as the standard Raven Wing pilots. but this vehicle is probably so complex it requires a Tech Marine to operate it. So that's the avatar. Very exciting. And then there's also been some leaked data sheets and information about the Wraith Knight. And it looks like you have a Wraith Knight, Dominic, so that should be pretty exciting for you. I think let's go back to silver and put some little scratches around these missile launchers. Oh wait, oh, did I do a second coat on the lasers? Oh, I guess I started to. Lean them against each other. There we go. So let's see. I think I have a tab open with some information about the Wraith Knight. Sure do. Waiting for a 1,500 or 2,000 point game to bring him out again. All right. Sounds good. Maybe he can go up against my Stompa, my orcs. So the leaked Wraith Knight stats, according to Auspex Tactics. I enjoy the Auspex Tactics YouTube channel. I mean, like, all he really does is go through data sheets and Math Hammer and new announcements, but makes for, like, fun, you know, daily updates kind of thing. He puts out videos so often. And so he says the Wraith Knight is going to be movement 12, weapon skill 3 up, ballistic skill 3 up, strength 8, toughness 8, 22 wounds. That's pretty good. Attacks 5, leadership 9 with a 3 up save. 3 up save kind of surprises me. I would kind of expect it to be 2 up on a Wraith Knight. It says it's going to cost 23 power. I don't know exactly how many points that's likely to translate to. And he'll have a 5 up invulnerable save. Sounds reasonable. I mean, 4 up wouldn't have shocked me. And what else is he going to have? -1 damage built in. Well, that's going to make those 22 wounds a lot harder to get through. I assume he'll have a degrading stat line for when he gets damaged. So at least you won't have to totally kill him to reduce his effectiveness. Probably go from hitting on 3s to 4s to 5s. And then he's going to have a heavy Wraith Cannon. Or a Sun Cannon. Which one is yours equipped with, Dominic? I'm curious. The heavy Wraith Cannon is going to be 36-inch range, heavy D3, strength 16. Wow. So that'll be wounding toughness 8 stuff on 2 up. AP -4. So if you have a 2 up save, you'll at least get a 6 up. But if you have a 3 up, no save at all. Damage D3 plus 6. So that's going to be 7 to 9 damage on a heavy D3 weapon. So easily doing 14 to 18 damage if you get 2 wounds through, which you're very likely to get at least 2. With plus D3 mortal wounds on a roll of a 6. Wow. Okay, well at least it's on a wound roll of a 6. I don't mind that. Seems balanced. So that's the heavy Wraith Cannon. Seems really impressive. Heavy D3 with a minimum of 7 damage and a chance to do 3 mortal wounds. That's amazing. And then the Sun Cannon, I bet that's what... Oh, okay, you say I use the Sun Cannon and Force Shield, but a Wraith Knight can have 2 Wraith Cannons. Okay. So the Sun Cannon is 48-inch range, so 4 feet. That's going to hit almost anything. Heavy 2d6. Wow. Strength 8, AP -2, damage 3, and blast. Oh my god. So you know blast Blast will get maximum number of shots against, is it units of 11 or more? Or is it 10 or more? I think it's 6 to 10 and then 11 or more. So against a unit of 11 or more, you're going to get automatic 12 shots. That would be amazing. At damage 3. But I guess hardly anyone is running units of more than 10 now because of Blast. So against a unit of 6 to 10, you'll get 2d6 shots, but minimum 3. That's not as good. But still, 2d6, you might get lucky and get a ton of shots and just wipe, like a unit of heavy intercessors who all have 3 wounds each would be a perfect target for a damage 3 weapon like that. So Sun Cannon would be super effective against heavy intercessors. And against my Drukhari, I bet some Coven units like Grotesques would also be a great target for that. I'm not sure. I think Grotesques might be 4 wounds apiece, in which case it won't be as effective, but still, it's a high damage weapon for so many shots. And then the Scatter Shield gives it a 4-up invulnerable save. Wow. So you'll only ever be making a 3-up or 4-up with that shield. I guess unless you get shot with a railgun, then no save. Railgun would do some serious hurt to your 22 wound model with minimum damage 10, and you only get to subtract 1 from that. It'd be doing minimum damage 9. Good chance of taking you out with 2 railgun hits or wounds. That would be pretty scary. It has Titanic Feet as a melee weapon, strength 8, AP -2, damage 2. No triple attacks. I don't know what that means. Oh, I see. So if you use the Titanic Feet, I don't know what the triple attacks is in reference to. Maybe it used to get a bunch of extra attacks. Scatter laser range question mark, heavy 6, strength 6, AP none, damage 1. So it can have some scatter lasers or shuriken cannons, probably shoulder mounted, I'm guessing. I'll have a damage 2 shuriken cannon, heavy 3, strength 6, AP -1. Or star cannon. Oh, okay, it used to get extra attacks. Scatter lasers are heavy weapons already in the codex. Okay, yeah. And it looks like it can take star cannons. Is that an option to scatter laser or shuriken cannon as a shoulder mount? 36-inch, heavy 2, strength 7, AP -3, damage 2. Okay. And then it has special rule, Strands of Fate. Same Titanic rule as Knights. No Ancient Doom or Battle Focus. Well, sounds very powerful. I think that'd be fun to run that new Wraith Knight. Well, that gave us some time to let the paint dry. I'm thinking let's do orange highlight on the Tech Marine pilot here. And sure, let's go back down to a small base brush for this. Still have a little bit of this orange paint that's not quite dry, and it's nice and thickened up, which will be good for doing kind of a little bit of a kind of dry brush here. So are you excited for the new Wraith Knight, Avatar of Cain, and the Shroud Runners? You've got to be. And is Eldar kind of your main army, sounds like? Or your favorite army? I'll have to come in and paint a few little details on this guy, like he's got a little skull on his helmet. That's about all I want to do in terms of highlight. Let's do that quickly on the other Tech Marine, on the other pilot here. Dominion says, yep. All right. Well, that's cool. Eldar are great. Eldar are actually an army I've always admired and never played, except Drukhari, of course. And especially the Eldar jet bikes. Like, that's a model I kind of was in awe of all the way back in the 90s. Loved, like, you know, it's like every time I would go to the hobby store, I think I would pick up a box of Eldar jet bikes and look at them and just be like, oh, so cool. And somehow I never picked them up. You know, I guess back in the day it was like pick your one faction, and I never really dreamed I would have multiple factions of 40k. And then when I got back into 40k, it was mostly like I wanted to just take the Space Marines I already had and turn it into something I could actually use to play games. So I still didn't really think of having two factions. Dominic says, 100% excited. New rules for Aspect Warriors. All get 5-up invulnerable now. +1 attack, strength 4. They're my main army, and I love their lore, 100%. I'd love to cosplay as one day. LOL. That's cool. Have you seen that that girl who builds amazing cosplay, who's done like I think Eldar Banshee and like Drukhari Archon, I think. I want to say she's French. I used to follow her Instagram and Facebook. Arboreal Keyboard or something like that. Arboreal Key, something like that. Worth checking out. She's done some amazing cosplay that might inspire you. I've dreamed of doing 40k cosplay too. It would be so cool to do Space Marine. And I don't think I would do like the Space Marine on stilts thing where you try to be 8 feet tall. I would just try to scale Space Marine armor for my 5'8" size. I think that would be more fun to wear. So you could actually, like, it'd be cool to make Space Marine armor you could actually, oh, you do know her, okay, she's amazing, super inspired to do a Farseer myself because of her. Oh yeah, all right, yeah, very cool. All right, let's throw a little more orange paint on the top of these las cannons, and then they're pretty much about done. There we go. I have seen some very cool Space Marine cosplay too. And some of them they do like, they make it really big, like 6.5 feet tall, and it looks awesome. But they don't seem super like, what's the word? Maneuverable. So there's that. This model actually got a little dusty. Just gonna wipe a little bit of that off real quick. It's been sitting on my shelf for a while. Haven't used the, oh no, I have used a Storm Talon in game. I think once or twice, maybe just once so far. Oh, okay, looks like I have some red paint on these little lights underneath the engines. So let's copy that on this one. Just like that. Oh yeah, and I was gonna do an orange highlight on this little light in the front. I think we want a little more paint on the brush. So we covered the Avatar and the Wraith Knight. Well, we actually got some very exciting news for me today, which is a leak of the new Genestealer Cults Codex. So I spent quite a bit of time watching videos and reviewing the new like hive cult traits and rules for Genestealer cults today. Watched a video by Auspex Tactics and another one by Zara Kane, who puts out a lot of Genestealer cult related stuff. Lives in the UK and has a copy of the Codex apparently. So we have all the information. So for Genestealer cults, I play Twisted Helix, and I have the philosophy of picking your sub-faction and sticking to it and not changing from game to game and not even changing when a new codex comes out. So I fully intend to stick to Twisted Helix. And let's see here. I was wondering if I should do Dark Angel Green on one of these pilots. I think it would be okay to have one of my Tech Marines be a Dark Angel Tech Marine flying a Ravenwing vehicle. Or maybe he should be a Ravenwing Tech Marine. Yeah, maybe that makes more sense. So we'll leave his shoulder pad black. It's unfortunate that they have their chapter badge on opposite shoulders. Honestly, I can't remember off the top of my head which side it's supposed to be on. And then the Ravenwing, I mean the Mechanicus badge is actually quite complicated. And it's black and white. And I don't think I have the patience or desire or even the angle to get in there and paint it. So I'll just give it a little dab of white paint and call it good. But first we're going to start with this Ravenwing badge that is sort of inaccessible here on this guy's left shoulder. And see if I can just kind of get in there and paint that a little bit. So I'm gonna stay loyal to Twisted Helix cult with my Genestealer cult, and I checked out their new rules today, and they look great. And overall, I would say, although I was a little bit worried about the Genestealer Codex with the information they've been dropping on it, like none of it was that inspiring to me, but I'm kind of relieved with what I've seen about the Codex today. I think it's going to be good. We can kind of make this look a little better just by hitting it with a black wash in a little bit. And then similar thing on this other side. I think we'll just pick out this gear. So I guess I'll start out by talking about Twisted Helix because I think I can remember most of the info about it. So Twisted Helix, they were always like the strongest of the, like physically strongest of the Genestealer cult hive fleets, or I mean hive cults. And sort of the lore background of Twisted Helix is that, which I didn't know when I chose them, but once I've learned it, I think it's pretty fitting, is that they are sort of masters of biological science and medicine, and they've used that to help spread their Genestealer infection around the galaxy. They do stuff like sending out tainted batches of medical supplies and stuff like that, so that oh, there's a game idea. What if medical supplies have been sent from Transcendence Moon, where my Genestealer cult have taken over, and Genestealer infected medical supplies have been sent to another planet to infect it, and the Eldar foresee this and show up to try to destroy the medical shipment before it can be used to infect the population. So it would be like the Eldar trying to save everybody from turning into Genestealers, and the Dark Angels think they're just like trying to destroy the medical shipment. That would be like the classic thing where the Eldar are like seriously trying to do the right thing, but they just seem like evil dicks to the Imperium, attacking the medical frigate, as it were. That could be a fun idea for a game. And it could also set up some, could be a good three-way game, yeah. It could set up some stakes for the battle. Like, if the Eldar win the battle, you've saved the population from Genestealer infection. But if you lose the battle, it could be a reason to introduce my Genestealer cult to a new planet. So that could be cool. I like it when you can kind of figure out some stakes for the battle beforehand. Like, if this side wins, then this thing will happen in the narrative. And if they lose, then this other thing will happen. So that could be cool. like if you prevent the Gene Stealer cult from spreading, then they'll have to come up with some new dastardly way of spreading out. Or maybe then you'll take the fight to the Gene Stealer cult on their planet, on their moon. Oh, Dominion says, finished up Eldrad. I'm satisfied with the progress made with him tonight. Good. I think you don't need to do too much to get a model, you know, battle ready, and then you can always come back and add more details or, you know, lavish more attention on him later if you feel inspired. I look forward to seeing how far you got. You have to post a picture on Instagram. Let's see. I think I missed one little thing I wanted to paint on these guys. They have like a little skull icon on their chest, which I didn't notice a minute ago. So I'm going to go back and hit that again. Well, you're going to get some sleep now. It's getting kind of late. It's 9 o'clock. I guess not super late yet. And you said you play Ulthway, so it makes me wonder. Wonder if you painted him black or if you're doing more of like a custom color scheme on Eldrad. You said he's a kit bash, which I think is really cool. So I'm curious. You know, sometimes when I do like especially when I do a kit bashed version of a character, sometimes it's fun to use like the rules for Eldrad, but give him like a custom name, or do you want to have him be Eldrad? Both are cool options. I'm trying to think of ones I've done. Currently, I think I've kind of relabeled all of my named characters as the character that they're sort of supposed to be, quote unquote. But at one time, I would run Samael, but who's the Ravenwing leader, but I gave him an original name. Dominion. I think I got a lot farther than expected tonight. You said 100% painted, and I took it to heart. All right. And I painted him as a custom scheme for the custom craft world theme I'm going for. We'll definitely look forward to showing the army and lore tomorrow before our match. Awesome. Well, so I guess where I'm going with this is if you want to give him a custom name that's different than Eldrad, but still use the rules for Eldrad, I think that's totally cool. Or if you want to call him Eldrad and just say he's helping your custom craft world, that's cool too. So either way is neat. I did ask you to come up with names for all your non-named characters, but that could include coming up with a different name for Eldrad if you feel inclined. Or you can call him Eldrad if you're ran out of ideas. I'm going to go ahead and paint now the little green lights that I have and the little green computer screen I want to do on his little dashboard here. So just right here. And it looks like he has another little screen down below. Let's do that one green too. And same on this other guy. Get him on screen. Sometimes my model I'm painting wanders off screen and I don't notice for 10 minutes. Sorry, everybody. So my Twisted Helix, they're going to have +1 strength still. That was their trait before. But the great news is now the +1 strength from their Hive Cult trait will also apply to actual Gene Stealers. Hooray! It was kind of an issue with previous Gene Stealer cults codex that the actual Gene Stealers themselves didn't get the benefits from whatever cult you chose. So a lot of people would use their Gene Stealers in a separate Tyranid detachment so they could get a Hive Fleet trait. Dominion says, sounds good to me. I have some leftover pizza that might be calling my name. Oh man, I'm going to eat after this too. No hot dog on it. Yeah, that's right. I said I'd make pizza, didn't I? But probably going to get some gaming in and sleep around 9:30. All right, well, have a good night. Enjoy your gaming. And thanks so much for hanging out and painting with me, Dominic. It was really fun. I'm glad you made some progress on your Eldrad. and I can't wait to play with you tomorrow. Anyone else who might be tuning in, you can check out our live game tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be playing 2 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, Saturday, or West Coast time. And it's going to be 1,000 points, Dark Angels versus Eldar. So come check it out. And I think you've got my address. I sent it to you, Dominic. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Feel free to show up anytime between 1:30 and 2. I should be awake by then. And I will see you tomorrow. Going to be a ton of fun, and hopefully the stream will go smoothly. And it should be hopefully the beginning of at least one game streamed a month, and it will be a little rough because it's our first time streaming a game, but hopefully we'll one of our goals is to improve the stream continuously, so bear with us as we may have to work out some technical kinks, but hopefully everything will be ready to go, and yeah, should be fun. Hey Aaron, are the Gene Stealers for Cult same for NIDS with the rules? That's a good question, because Gene Stealers are getting a rules update in the new codex, and I assume that means they're going to get updated for Hive Fleet 2, but you know, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll get a well, I don't know, any idea on when the new Tyranid codex is coming out? Because it makes sense that if the Gene Stealers get a boost in the Gene Stealer Cult codex, stands to reason that they're going to get the same boost for Hive Fleet. But apparently now they have like a flat minus 3 AP, and I'm not sure on how much damage they deal. Dominion, yeah man, excited to see you then. I do have your address, and I'll shoot you a message when I'm on my way. Sleep well. All right, thanks. See you tomorrow, Dominion. Looking forward to it. And it sounds like we got our game worked out. Maybe we'll set it on Icarus 2, the feudal world that's been under reconstruction. Maybe a shipment of medical supplies arrive and we can have a battle at the spaceport. That sounds like a good idea. And Aaron, are you doing some hobbying tonight? What are you working on? And are you excited for any of the leaks and announcements? It sounds like you play Tyranid Hive Fleet, yeah? We're getting kind of close on this model. Let me take a look and see, what do I have left to paint? Kind of trying to make it match this other one on the left. Oh, looks like I need to paint the Imperial Aquila on the front and add some highlights to the headlights. And so we probably got approaching done on this guy, not too much left. Here's my gold paint. Gonna use some Retributor Armor, my favorite gold-based paint, to work on this guy. So Aaron T-Sum1 says, Blood Angels main, but started a NID army. That's cool. And have about 2,500 points of NIDs. That's awesome. How much of that is painted? That's a great feeling when you surpass 2,000 points of a new army. I don't know if you heard, but my new project is going to be Imperial Guard. And I'm taking stuff that was either already Brood Brothers for my Gene Stealer cult or was going to be Brood Brothers, and I'm going to repaint it as Planetary Defense Force. And my Gene Stealer cult uses like Mechanicus red vehicles, like they were painted red by the Mechanicus, and the Gene Stealer cult just never bothered to repaint them or didn't have any paint. So I'm gonna share those a few of those vehicles between the Astra Militarum, what do you call them, Planetary Defense Force, and my Gene Stealer cult. So I'll be able to double dip a little bit with a few of my models. But super excited. Starting a new army is a fun feeling, and I added up how many points of Astra Militarum stuff I have either on hand or already ordered or already on order, and I have over 3,500 points of guard. So that's going to be a nice size army. Aaron says, all my monsters are painted and everything else is at 90% painted. So about 40 Gene Stealers to do claws and teeth and about 36 Termagants to do the same. Wow, great progress. Good job. Do you have like Instagram or something where you show those off? I'd be curious to see. And we do have a public Facebook group you can join, which is, I don't have a Discord yet, but if you're on Facebook, you can join the Challenger Tabletop Fans group and feel free to post pictures of your models there if you don't have an Instagram. And I think, yeah, I try to share some videos there as well. So if all your monsters are painted, you must be excited about Crusher Stampede. No, not yet. My Insta shows off my other hobbies. Yeah, I do that too. I actually have a personal Instagram where I show off my baking and cooking and I don't know, other stuff like that. And I used to show my 40K stuff there, but I've now transferred to where I'm just posting all my 40K stuff to Challenger Tabletop on Instagram. So if you have an account, you should definitely follow Challenger Tabletop on Instagram to see my finished models, and I do little stories and stuff sometimes. Having a lot of fun getting like sort of meeting the rest of the 40K community on Instagram, so I do recommend checking it out. All right, let's see, what do we have left? I think orange and yellow highlights on this front headlight, and maybe a little yellow highlight on the green headlight. So let's go to orange. Oh, cool. All right. Thanks, Aaron. And thanks for following my channel here on Twitch. Kind of a celebration tonight as we just hit 50 followers on the channel. And that's kind of a big deal on Twitch. That's like the number you need to get to become a Twitch affiliate. So that's pretty cool. Feels like an accomplishment. Aaron, I'll probably post a pic of the army when fully painted. Great. Can't wait to check it out. I've got a game tomorrow with Dominic, who you just saw in here, Dominion Dynamics. His Instagram is also the same as his name on here, so you should follow him too. And we're going to be playing Dark Angels versus Eldar tomorrow, 1,000 point game, incursion game. I think we already have a mission picked out, which is Center Ground from the 2020 book. And so that is super exciting. I can't wait to play, and it's going to be my first time streaming a game on the channel. So check that out if you're around 7 p.m. Pacific time. I mean, sorry, 2 p.m. Pacific time, so in the afternoon. But everything will get uploaded to the Challenger Tabletop YouTube after the fact, so if you miss it, you can check that out. Oh, good, okay. Welcome back. And let's see, what's left to do here? A little bit of yellow highlight on the two headlights, and I think we're done. Super exciting point will be to glue the canopy over these guys. So there's a little yellow. Oh, no, it's too wet. I can't really get it. And the conversation topic today, Aaron, is basically Games Workshop announcements, leaks, and the future of Games Workshop and Challenger Tabletop. And so so far we talked about the Shadow Throne box that came out a little while ago with Gene Stealer Cults and Custodes. Then we talked about Crusher Stampede for Tyranids, the Tau Hammerhead Railgun, which made such a stir a week or two ago, the Eldritch Omens box set, which has the new Eldar and Chaos models that are coming out. And then we talked about the leaks of the Avatar of Cain and the Wraith Knight stats. And then I was kind of getting into Gene Stealer cults. I talked a little bit about my cult, Hive Cult, which is Twisted Helix. And I was thinking of going through all the different Gene Stealer cults, but honestly, if anyone wants to check those out, I suggest the video by Zara Kane on YouTube. She went one by one through all of them. So Aaron says the railgun is needed for Tau. It's not even that scary, to be fair. I must admit I had kind of like a panic about the Tau railgun, and I don't even have like a regular Tau opponent currently, but I got 6 Eradicators and 2 Orc big mechs with shock attack guns. So at least when those hammerheads hit the field, I'll have something to shoot back at them with. Because honestly, my eliminators with las fusel are just like not cutting it as vehicle removal. They have the range, they can deploy anywhere you want, but 1 shot for 3 damage, which might miss or not wound, or only has a -3 AP, is probably not going to cut it if you're facing 3 to 4 hammerheads, which is what I foresee. I think Tau players are really going to run hammerheads a lot now, but I guess we'll have to see what else they get in the codex that competes for their points, because I have a feeling everything in the Tau codex is going to be good, so it won't be like that's the only strong thing they have to pick from. And I think it is going to be strong. Remember, Tau has sort of like really easy synergies, because like basically everything they have in their army works together to make their shooting stronger. So I expect that those Tau railguns are never going to miss, never going to fail to wound, but we'll see. It would be a lot less scary if they were just going to be hitting on 4s with a single shot, but I have a feeling it's going to be... Oh no, they're already hitting on 3s with hammerheads, so I have a feeling it'll be like hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, +1 to wound, rerolling 1s, or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Aaron says, both my armies are mass, fast, close combat armies, so honestly I don't see them as that scary. The only armies I can think of that will die to it would be Knights and Custodes. Interesting. My problem as Dark Angels, I would usually be running kind of a shooty style of Dark Angels, and so it would be like my shooting versus Tau shooting, and I just never could equal them, you know. I would lose that battle. And then I tried sometimes doing like kind of a fast like charge in style of Dark Angels using like Ravenwing and stuff, but then I've got kind of a tiny little elite army of Ravenwing, and it's kind of like they just would get shot off the board too. I might make it into combat with like 1 or 2 squads, and then they just wouldn't really do anything. So I kept hearing that like melee is the weakness of Tau. I just was never really able to exploit that very well. But now I have orcs and some other factions, but I think if I do play Tau, I'll probably be using Dark Angels or my Astra Militarum, as one of the kind of house rules of the channel is Imperium versus non-Imperium. So that means if I'm facing Xenos, I'll be using one of my Imperium armies, and I'll be bringing out the orcs to face Imperium. So, but then again, maybe we'll do some like Xenos versus Xenos games and have them be like for subscribers only or something like that. I think that would be fun. I'm also thinking we're going to try to start out using just Games Workshop models, and then maybe we'll have like subscribers get to see games where we use proxies and scratch built models and 3D printed stuff. So that'll be like the special fun games. And I'm also thinking about maybe doing like 1,000 point games and then maybe 2,000 point games for subscribers. Something like that could be cool. I want to provide something fun where people are like, man, I want to see those games where they're using proxies or 3D printed models or whatever. Aaron, I run a lot of Death Company. Oh yeah, that's awesome. So they can take a hit, and I always run 2 10-man squads. There's every little they don't kill, and there's very little they don't kill, and my characters are based for close combat and benefit charging. Yeah, I think Blood Angels or Orcs would probably do pretty well. It would be a good counter to Tau, and probably Tyranids too, especially like the mass swarm Tyranids. I think that the Hammerhead is going to really rain on the parade of Crusher Stampede, because -1 damage is going to be pretty much meaningless when you're taking 10 to 13 damage from a railgun, and your 5-up invulnerable save will not help you against railgun because it ignores invulnerable, and you won't be getting any save against -6 AP. So seems like railgun is a great counter to Crusher Stampede, but now that I think about it, Tau had better have a strong counter to it, because otherwise they would probably fold pretty quickly to a bunch of huge unstoppable monsters. Hey, are we finished? Maybe I should do a little bit of a highlight on this gold. All I really did was like a quick little base layer on this Aquila on the front of these things. Might be nice to give it just a little touch of a brighter gold. This is Auric Armor Gold, and it is brighter. Let's just give it a little zap with that. And then I think we're going to be done. I'll take a second and maybe glue on the canopy, because that's like kind of an exciting moment when you've finished a flyer and you can like seal the pilot in forever. Keep the dust out of the cockpit. So let's do that. Maybe I'll do a little dab of yellow on his computer screen just to give it like a little tiny highlight. All right, I'm calling that good. Oh, I guess one other thing. I have these little lights on underneath his engines, and I painted them green, the bottom ones, but they do need a little tiny highlight, so let's do that. Boop. Boop. There we go. All right. I'm calling this model battle ready, which means now I have 2 Storm Talons, which means I have the maximum number of flyers for my Dark Angels. Aaron says, not really. Our units are very cheap, so for every railgun I can field 3 monsters, and we still have warriors that can have 9 in a unit. Wow. Well, with Crusher Stampede you only get warriors and monsters, and I think the Hammerheads are only going to be like 160 points, but I could be wrong. But yes, I bet Swarm Tyranids would be a good counter to Tau, except they are going to have that sub-munitions. Are your Termagants fearless if they're next to a Synapse creature? That's a question, because the Tau sub-munitions can easily dish 8 mortal wounds to a big unit, and plus they'll have some burst cannons or something. Okay, they're fearless. Good, because one of the threats of the sub-munitions is if you put 8 mortal wounds on a squad and shoot some burst cannons or whatever, you're probably going to make them automatically fail morale and lose some more. We don't take any morale with Synapse models. Well, there you go. All right, so you should be pretty well set to take on Tau. I bet you're excited to face some Hammerheads, see how you do. And have you gotten to try Crusher Stampede? I don't know, have you played your Tyranids yet? Crusher Stampede seems like fun to play, and I'm actually excited to try playing against it, although I feel like it might be a disheartening, demoralizing time. Alright, well here is the moment of truth. I don't want the windshield to totally fog up here, so I'm just going to do 2 little dots of paint of glue on each guy's windshield, and then we'll stick down the canopy, and hopefully it'll just stay. There's 1. And here's 2. That one fits much more snugly because it's one that came with the model. All right, and let's put them up on their bases. We got the missiles equipped on both of them. Maybe let's put the las cannons on. That'll be fun so they don't look identical. Switching out the weapons here real quick. Aaron says, I haven't played the Crusher Stampede yet. I like running 40 Gene Stealers and lots of other troops. Yeah, true. You do need like 2,000 points of monsters and Hive Guard and warriors and stuff to play Crusher Stampede, because you can't use any Termagants or Swarms. And I'm going to paint the base, or work on the base probably off stream. Maybe we'll glue some stuff to it if you want to hang out for a little bit more. But let's get these guys up so we can at least see the effect. I think I wanted to flip this one around backwards on the base, based on how I had it glued down. There we go. And this guy, the one I already had finished, or mostly finished. There we go. All right, let's back this out a bit. I should have a camera set up where I don't have my face on cam so that we can look at the models better. But here we go. There's our 2 finished Storm Talons, except for base on the second one. Zoom in a little bit on each one, show off the pilot through the windshield. I think that's my favorite thing, is seeing the pilot through a clear windshield. Love that with flyers. I think it's so cool. And the other one, he's got some glare. Let's just kind of move that a tad. There you go. And can we see his little control panels? Oh, that looks cool, doesn't it? I'm really happy with that. Oh, it looks great. I'm glad I took the second to add that little yellow highlight in the corner. And let's check out the control panel on the other one. There he is. Oh, how fun. All right, well, here's the Storm Talons, and this is wrapping up Dark Angel Week, as we did the Falchion and now a couple Storm Talons. And I think next week we'll be moving back to another faction, maybe painting some Orcs, maybe some Drukhari. Let's let you take a vote, Aaron. Oh, okay, my Instagram is Challenger Tabletop, just like the channel here. So let's see. And you say they're just too scary not to bring, the Gene Stealers. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to have a lot more fun with Gene Stealers now that they're getting a boost in the new Gene Stealer Cults Codex. I actually already use them almost every game with my Gene Stealer Cults, so I'll be, you know, probably just finding them more effective. Well, Aaron, thanks for watching. What do you think I should work on next week? More Dark Angels, Drukhari, Gene Stealer Cults, Orcs, or repainting Gene Stealer Cults to Imperial Guard? Which of those sounds like the most fun? Dark Angels, Imperial Guard, Drukhari, Orcs, or Gene Stealer Cult. Those are the options. Got a lot of fun models for all of those. Gene Stealer Cult. All right, sounds good. Maybe we'll work on the. Maybe we'll work on this guy. This is my kit bashed Reductus Saboteur. Just in time for the new codex, the new character. I had a lot of fun building this guy. He's got a Drukhari dagger, and he's got a remote detonator, and he's got the old push lever explosive trigger, which is actually also like radio controlled in mine. He's got like some TNT in his hand here. Oh, looks great. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. And we've also got some other fun stuff for Gene Stealer Cult. Let me look around and see what I got on the table here. Oh, we've got this classic Abominant with his little familiar buddy. And to go along with the Abominant, very good in Twisted Helix, we've got my kit bashed Biophagus. I think that's how you say it. I had a lot of fun building this guy. Originally he was going to be, he's made from a Delaque Ganger from Necromunda, and originally he was going to be a, what do you call him, Weird Vein Psyker, but I watched one of Zara Kane's videos where she's talking about the Biophagus, and I just thought, oh, that looks super cool. I've got to make one of those. So he's got this injector goad and an auto pistol, and he's got this backpack full of toxins and venoms, and like a little feeder tube that I have running up to his injector goad. And, I just think he's really cool. So those are probably some... Oh, and I've got one more that's also crying out for paint. Another kit bash. This is, in my opinion, the greatest kit bash I've ever done, and probably the greatest Genestealer Cult Nexus, or Nexos, or no, Locus, Genestealer Cult Locus you're ever going to see. So he's made from a old Warhammer Fantasy Dark Elf Assassin, and in my sort of personal lore, he's a Genestealer Cult infected Drukhari. And oh yeah, you're familiar with the model. And the Locus is armed with 2 twin blades and a hypermorph tail, which you see there. And then it's not a weapon he can use, but he has a -1 leadership ability from his neurotromal rod. So I had a lot of fun crafting this custom neurotromal rod. And normally you can't really see his arms and weapons because he's got his cloak covering everything up. So I thought it would be fun to give him 3 arms and have him wielding both swords and the rod all at once. And I kept the thing where he's got like a Genestealer Cult icon on his back, and he's still got a cloak. So yeah, really excited with this guy. Aaron says, one of the first models I ever seen of this hobby. You mean the Dark Elf Assassin? The actual model for the Genestealer Cult Locus is pretty boring and lame, so he looks more like a monk or something. Okay, yeah. I actually used to collect Dark Elves for Warhammer Fantasy. And then also kind of on the painting table are 2 units of Aberrants. So here's one with the improvised weapon, and here's one with huge hammer. And these are the leaders of the squad who have hypermorph tails. So there's 1 and there's 2. So I have 2 squads of the Aberrants, 2 squads of 5. So those are definitely going to need paint too. Maybe we'll be working on Genestealer Cult stuff for 2 weeks. We'll see. And I do all mine on this sort of gray rebel base. That's like a kind of a theme for their basing. All right, Aaron. Well, thank you for joining the stream. We'll just close out with a picture of this cool model that I painted tonight. And I hope you have a great evening. If you get the chance, join us for our 1,000 point game of Warhammer tomorrow, or check it out on our Challenger Tabletop YouTube channel after the fact. Thanks so much. See you next time. Have a great night, and we'll be playing Warhammer tomorrow.